The grand jury has indicted Barry Morphew on the single count of murder in the first degree. Law enforcement, the Chaffee County community, and Colorado as a whole has never stopped fighting for justice for Suzanne.
We're giving a voice to the victims this morning, talking about what's ahead for defendant Barry Morphew as he makes his first appearance in court, accused of the murder of his wife, Suzanne. Suzanne Morphew vanished back in 2020. The 49-year-old mother of two was reported missing on Mother's Day. Her husband was the last known person to see her alive. Scripps News Denver brings us the latest.
I'm Denver 7's Claire Lavazorio outside the Alamosa County Justice Center, where Barry Morphew had his initial court appearance here in Colorado on Tuesday. He was escorted into the courthouse, handcuffed in an orange and white jumpsuit, smiling as soon as he saw one of his daughters there to support him. He's charged with murder for a second time. Barry Morphew is back in Colorado, appearing before a judge in his new murder case. His face lit up as soon as he saw one of his daughters sitting in the courtroom. This 30-minute appearance in front of Judge Amanda Hopkins was mostly procedural. Hopkins outlining standards for media coverage and courtroom etiquette.
Our entire community needs to be able to use this courthouse undeterred. They don't deserve to have to be subjected to this just because there is interest in Mr. Morphew's case.
Though Denver 7 did learn about a possible conflict of interest between Morphew and the public defender's office.
We would anticipate, expect, and ask the court to appoint the office of the alternate defense counsel.
Prosecutors say they've provided almost all discovery materials to the defense, except for one witness transcript.
We're prepared to set trial at any time, but of course we've just given them multiple terabytes of discovery.
On June 20th, Morphew was taken into custody in Maricopa County, Arizona. This comes nearly 2 years after Denver 7 was the only station alongside investigators as they discovered his missing wife's remains just outside of the town of Moffett. New details from a grand jury indictment say Barry was the last known person to see her alive. And during Suzanne Morphew's autopsy, an animal tranquilizer known as BAM was found in her bones. The indictment claims that Barry was a deer farmer and the only private citizen living in that entire area of the state that had access to BAM at the time of his wife's disappearance. Morphew is set to be back in court on September 2nd at 1:30. His attorneys say at that time he'll be ready to discuss his bond. I'm in Alamosa. Claire Lavazorio, Denver 7.
September 2nd will be right around the corner. So Barry Morphew, what was up with that smile when he was in the courtroom? A lot of people talking about that. A lot of people in the true crime community also want to know if these charges are going to stick this second time around. Let's bring in criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Michael J. Brown. Okay, let's start with the defendant's very optimistic appearance in the courtroom. Michael, what'd you think of that?
Julie, I don't know if it's really the optimistic part of it. I'm sure he takes this seriously. If you look when he came out initially, this is a murder charge. And what you really see is he obviously noted his one or two of his daughters are in the courtroom, and that was really refreshing, and it was a friendly face, and it's a family member. So I think that was the reaction. I think the media, quite frankly, is making way too much of it. I don't think it's anything more than he identified and saw his children, and that's refreshing and comforting to him. I think that's the extent of it.
You think it was just a glance at one of his daughters? We do know that one of his daughters was there, the other was not. So you think, well, because that's the clip. Obviously, everybody's talking about that clip. Why is he smiling? But great explanation if it was just an acknowledgement of his child.
Yeah, I do. I don't know anything about him, or I know what I read about the case, but that happens all the time when you see the defendant will come out, they'll acknowledge a family member, they'll be so happy and excited to see them. It's independent of the charges, and what happens is they blow it up and they make more of it than it is. He's not taking it seriously, he thinks this is a joke, but I don't think that's the case.
I appreciate it, Michael. And I know you can also appreciate what we're looking at here. So we have a parent holding hands with his two beautiful daughters. Now he's behind bars, so we'll see what happens at his next hearing. Their mother is deceased. Looks here, and this video was taken quite some time ago, they were supporting him. Don't know if that's still going to be the case. Perhaps one is. We know one was present. I don't want to speculate on why the other daughter wasn't there or what her thoughts may be. But how difficult is that in cases you've had where you have one parent accused of killing the other parent?
Yeah, these domestic cases are horrible, and it happens all the time. And now you have the children will lose both parents. One's dead, and one could potentially spend the rest of their lives in jail. It's horrible on the kids. It's horrible on the family. Everybody loses. But it's interesting in this case, as you pointed out, Julie, that one of the daughters is supporting the father. And despite the new indictment and some of the new evidence that came forward, I don't know if that's going to continue throughout the process as evidence may get revealed. But for the time being, that's the case.
Great points, Michael. I want to play for you a clip that went viral at the time. I still talked about. I'm sure these prosecutors will use it in the trial. This is when Barry's out helping investigators look for his wife, and he talks about how maybe a mountain lion got to her.
Was it a crash? I mean, the bike looked, the way it was laying, it kind of looked like it, but there's not really that much damage to the bike. That's the thing.
Lion?
Yeah, it was just like lion.
Was there no lion? Mountain lion?
I didn't see anything that would indicate.
Okay, Michael, thoughts on that and how you defend that?
He's suggesting something. How sincere it comes across, I don't know. You see these all the time when you have a husband who kills the wife, and then he's active and he leads the search parties and gets volunteers in the community to look for the wife, and then we find out he's the one responsible for the crime, and then he gets convicted, and the joke's on who. But I don't know. I don't have enough here to really make that comment. And it may be legit. There's a presumption of innocence, so we have to afford him that presumption. And maybe he's just simply suggesting an alternative theory in terms of why she's not there and what happened to her. Mountain lion? I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, that clip just, I don't know, it's the one that I guess stuck with me the most, perhaps. We'll see what happens with this guy. I think he's going to fight it. I do, Michael. I think he's going to fight it all the way to trial. Unfortunately, our cameras are allowed in Colorado, so we'll get to watch it together. Michael J. Brown, thank you for all of this.